On this episode of the Minds with Hakeem podcast, I interviewed Trevor Elmitt, who's an Iowa State alum. He studied physical training and sports medicine. He also done a lot of work as an NFL trainer and also with the Memphis Tigers. He now works for an innovative company called Progenitive Labs, where they're doing a lot of new things in the medical field. Stay tuned with this episode to see the gems that he unpacked and given us today. This episode of the Minds with Hakeem podcast is sponsored by my buddy, Jared Nicholson, who's a mortgage advisor at Key Mortgage Group. For you first-time and new home buyers, let me let you in on the secret. Mortgage rates are extremely low, and my buddy Jared is active to educate his borrowers and expose blind spots that they might not even be aware of. Man, this guy's the best option to make your lifetime lender. You can reach him at jnhomeloan.com. I'll say it again, jnhomeloan.com, jnhomeloan.com. Jared Nicholson NMLS number is 1969744. Yo, welcome back to the Moms with Hakeem podcast. I'm here with my buddy Trevor Elmitt.
How we doing?
Yes, sir. Yeah. Nailed it.
You got it right that time.
Got it right.
Yeah.
We season 2, episode 12. We finna dig in. This guy is very, very interesting. He's gonna pour it out to you guys. But before we get into that, we just want to dive into the icebreaker question before I let him dive in. So, new icebreaker question, y'all already know. What is the best advice someone has ever gave you, bro?
I was thinking about that on the ride here. I was thinking about it last night because you asked me this, like, hey, what's the best advice someone's ever given you?
Mm-hmm.
And I've had a lot of good people in my life give me a lot of different advice.
Yep.
But the one that sticks with me the most is I actually have it on my wristband right here.
Yep.
I don't know if you all can see this, but it says, "Do not be afraid." Best advice ever given. And you know who gave that?
Who that?
Jesus Christ, the Bible.
Yes, sir.
So in the Bible, it says, "Do not be afraid." I believe 88 times. I might be wrong there.
Ooh, yeah.
But
I have to fact check that.
You might have to fact check me on that one. But I think the biggest thing about "do not be afraid" is it applies to so many different aspects of your life.
Mm-hmm.
And my uncle Brad Elmitt, I'll give him a shout out here. He wrote a book, and it was pretty much kind of like a testimony to his rendition and kind of his belief on "do not be afraid," and just everything that it embodied for him.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what these wristbands are made from. So it's the great commandment. So
I
think that's the best advice because I think it's applicable to a lot of different other pieces of.
It's not only applicable to a lot of things; it's applicable to everything. To be honest, bro,
exactly.
Like whatever you're trying to do in life, if you're not afraid, you're able to accomplish it. I think that's dope. Yeah. That's good. And then that icebreaker question really gets me started because it changes. Mm-hmm. Like you can meet somebody tomorrow and they can tell you something that stick with you better than that.
Exactly.
So it changes. That's why I ask people where they at right now,
right? And
what's their best advice? Because be open for that to change.
Yeah. I like that. I like the question of your 3 biggest people you want to have coffee with.
I love that one.
Don't ask me that because I don't know.
Man, look, I can give 50 people. It was so hard for me to do that.
It's so hard.
But let's do a quick pandemic check-in, bro. How you feeling? How the family? How's everybody doing during the pandemic right now?
I'm blessed. And I think the main reason is because I think everyone is affected in some way, shape, or form. Mm-hmm. I think health-wise, my family's been great. There's my grandma's obviously she's doing okay, but family's good. Everyone's spirits are still high, obviously, with everything given. I mean, we're in good shape. So I think for me and my family, I would say I'm pretty blessed because there's people out there that aren't doing so well in this time, and my heart's always out to them. For sure. I think you can't weigh the full situation of the world until you're in someone's shoes, and I've been blessed enough to not have, and especially in this time, when it comes to health, I've been pretty blessed. So I would say I'm good.
That's good, man. And it sounds like you got the right mindset, like going into the whole pandemic. Like that's a big thing. I'll be trying to get on is the mindset. Like, yeah, we in the pandemic, but if you keep that I'm blessed or I'm staying focused mentality, you're going to make the best out of whatever you're doing.
You have to.
Sound like you're trying to do that, man. Keep doing it. Like, seriously.
You got to be humble. So you got to know what the situation is.
Mm-hmm. So. For a fact. Before we get into what he's doing right now, this guy's doing a lot of things in the medical field. And now I don't want to give none of it up so soon. But we just gonna have him kind of walk us through his college days and what led you into the field of work that you in today.
Yeah, so I wouldn't say I'm a super interesting guy. I mean, I always, I think my journey has definitely been unique. It's been going a lot of different directions, it starts out obviously in college is when it really gets interesting. So I grew up here in Des Moines, West Des Moines. Yep. A good friend of yours, Tyler Springer, is also a good friend of mine. That's how I kind of got connected with you. Yep. And so went to West Des Moines Valley. Went to Iowa State University. I first wanted to be an architect. I loved I love creating things. Like I was kind of talking to you, like in classes in high school, I just thought creating things was so cool.
It was
it. Like I think having my touch on something was what gave me energy. And kind of went to school and just decided once I got there, and it was architecture school was so invasive. Meaning like your senior year, like they scared me. They said within the first 30 seconds, I was meeting with someone for a meeting. I don't know, it was like a group orientation, whatever you call it, or a campus visit, something like that. And then the first 30 seconds of this meeting in this big group at the architecture building, they said like, this is obviously a very challenging career path. And a very challenging educational path. And your senior year, and it's like a 5-year program you have to get in.
Wow.
Your senior year, they pretty much said you are stuck to the design room and you're like a little studio at the building. I didn't want to be stuck in my college career.
He's like, nah,
I was like, no, that's not for me. Yeah. So really, obviously, if I look back on it, I think I made a pretty good decision. So I transitioned at Iowa State. I transitioned into finding other opportunities. I got myself into the mindset of medicine and sports medicine. I think what better way to help people be creative, put your spin on something, give change to the world than healthcare. Yeah. So I kind of explored that a little bit. Went down the road of, okay, should I be a doctor? Should I be a physical therapist? Should I be anything.
So many things you can do to help in the healthcare field.
Exactly. And one that was pretty foreign to me was sports medicine and athletic training. And I think that's not the first initial thing when you think of healthcare, but me being an athlete, and I know you've had experience with athletic trainers, it's crazy the type of impact they can have on someone. So I kind of got into that. I don't know how I originally thought about that, so before going to school my freshman year, I was enrolled in their pre-athletic training program at Iowa State. Great program, and you had to do a bunch of preliminary stuff in terms of like shadowing and making sure that you had to kind of apply and get in the program for a year. So kind of a similar aspect to what architecture was, right? And then as I got deeper into that, it actually ended up being more invasive in terms of a time commitment than architecture, and in terms of being so.
You're like, hold on, I want to go back.
Right. So that was something that I really enjoyed. I think I had a great experience. But within that educational path at Iowa State, I also joined a fraternity, TKE, Tau Kappa Epsilon, and I joined that a little late, but I had a really good college experience. Speaking more on sports medicine, obviously that kind of relates me into more of the topics today that we're going to talk about. But while I was at Iowa State, I worked as a student athletic trainer, in water pushing, that's what people see on the outside, but obviously learning more about the treatment, rehabilitation, and the management of athletic injuries and illnesses. And that's what was really, really cool to be able to be a part of that as a collegiate student. But I think for me, it was really invasive. Like I said, I told you, I did about 2,000 clinical hours over about 3 years. If you spread that out, being a college student, not getting paid for it, which I never expected to, I really, really, really was invested in that career path early on. So I worked with Iowa State football, Iowa State wrestling, Iowa State track and field, Iowa State softball, a lot of cool rotations, cool stuff. But kind of my highlight, at least professional development, was from my days, or summers, at least in 2015 and 16, I worked with the Jacksonville Jaguars in 2015. and I worked with the San Francisco 49ers in 2016. Just as a summer intern, not a super high role. I was grateful enough to be able to obtain one of those positions, and it really kind of gave me a look into what sports medicine is at the professional level. So that's what kind of leads into that.
So now you just hit on it a little, like your NFL journey a little bit. How was that important for you at the time? And like you just told those are the only two teams that you were working for,
right?
Those two teams, Jacksonville and San Fran.
Yeah, two different.
How was
summers.
that important for you at the time, like coming out of college? Oh, you were still in college.
Yeah, I was in college.
Okay,
it was summer internship.
Okay,
I should have clarified.
Oh,
so
no, you're fine.
So that was my junior and senior year. Kind of in that summer when I wasn't doing clinical rotations, and everyone was obviously doing internships and whatnot. That was my thing during those two summers, that was kind of at the end of my college career. That's kind of what I was aiming to be, is to be a professional or collegiate athletic trainer. And that's where I took that direction.
So can you speak to the professionalism of the trainers that you was working with? Like who was taking care of these athletes? How they conduct themselves? How was they carrying themselves?
Hidden heroes, man. I mean, I think you could speak for it on a certain level, which is kind of interesting. We're having this conversation today. But the amount of impact, an athletic trainer has on a student athlete or a professional athlete is profound and unmeasurable. And that's what really kept me motivated. Being an athletic trainer is being a lot of things to a lot of people. And I think the professionalism is obviously one thing, is paramount, and it's also I think it's a given being in that profession. I mean, you have to be able to handle so many different situations. Like if you think about it, an athletic trainer is not only, a rehabilitation specialist, injury prevention specialist. They're also emergency care on the field if something, or on the court if something happens. They're there to help out. They really play a lot of different hats, as well as injury management and obviously communicate with the coaches and players. And I mean, they put on so many hats in the healthcare field. So I think the professionalism, obviously at any level, is high, but I think it's really cool, obviously at any level, to see how the direction and the level of care is at each level. But to me, I think I was blessed at Iowa State to have a great program and a great athletic trainers there to kind of show and highlight what it's like to be a great professional athletic trainer, but also obviously at the professional level. It changes depending on what the sport is and what the level of eliteness is. Yeah. But I think at the core of it, I mean, I've met a lot of really good athletic training professionals. So it's been really cool. Yeah.
That's dope. And then like you kind of hit on it a bit, but like it's like levels to things. And like people don't understand that. They just want to go into training and be at the top of the top. These people have trained, these people have been water pushers. These people have went through their steps and trials. But I just wanted to get a little insight on the professionalism at the NFL level, because I know the NFL, NBA, MLB, everything they do is next level.
I mean, just imagine it.
Hockey, like it's all next level.
Right. Just imagine it. I mean, they're expected to be the highest level at anything you do. If you're expected to be the highest level, you can only imagine what it's like. Yep. And I, besides describing it myself, that's exactly, if you can think about it, that's exactly the level of care and discipline and just forward thinkingness that goes into professional level sports medicine care. So
and I just want to drop a little nugget on the audience. If you're trying to be the best or whatever you do, what do your professional levels look like? Like how professional are you acting on the daily with your business or whatever you running?
That's good.
So so I have to ask this. Kaepernick situation. When you was working for San Fran, you kind of told me you was there a little bit while I was all blowing up. Yeah. Can we get a little insight without going overboard of like what it was about the work, how it was in the workplace when all that was transpiring?
Last time we talked, I was thinking about that. And, I haven't really, one, this is like my first time being on a podcast. Yeah. So, I think this is a really cool platform. So I do appreciate it.
No problem, bro. Absolutely.
But I will say that, when I've like, that's probably the thing in my life where it's like, in the time, it wasn't like a big deal to me, which is crazy to think. But, the amount and just what has transpired from that is just far outweighs when I was in that situation. And again, I was a student intern. Like I wasn't speaking with him or like on a daily basis. Like it was more of, I was in that environment.
Yeah.
Obviously I was in the cocoon and there was so much noise outside of it. I was inside of it. And there's a couple pictures, the first initial pictures when he was taking a knee with, I believe it was Eric Reed, I think was the one at some point he was taking a knee with. But there's a couple pictures where my hair is in the back, So
that's dope, bro. When you told me that, I got excited.
I don't.
Like, wait, what?
And I don't want to like. It's not meant to be like a
Nah, you was there at that's a pivotal moment in our culture, in our career.
If you really think about it, I mean, decades from now, I mean, it is a stamp of time in terms of the movement and the change and shift of culture.
I agree.
And and like you said, I mean, without getting political, because I think we would agree very heavily in one way or another. I think we would have a really good conversation on that. Mm-hmm. But I think what I took away from that is being in a situation is it kind of made me think, I wish people could understand all sides of the story. Yeah. Right? No matter what you think, I think it's so easy to get one way or another.
And just go.
And be so passionate about that direction. But I think for me, like I said, without going too deep, being in it, being on the day-to-day, minding my job and my business, trying
to be professional as possible.
Great guy. People around, obviously him. I mean, obviously I don't know the locker room dynamics, and I wasn't there to, experience that hand to hand, because the athletic training room was really close to the locker room. So, I mean, that was hand in hand. And people talk about, what's the dynamics of the locker room, and I really got to see that obviously at the NFL level, because it's different when it's pro athletes versus collegiate athletes.
Super different.
So, I think without getting into it, that's the thing I probably took away the most is like being within something. Seeing what it's like behind the scenes with no cameras and no media's around, it allows me to kind of really take a step back and think perspective. Okay, in any controversial situation or controversial topic, how can you think about it from both sides? What can you step back and see the whole picture without diving into how you feel or what your initial thoughts are? And I think that's what that situation pulled from me, is just to say, okay, I'm seeing it from all sides. This is a really good guy. His message is meant to impact many people in a positive way. I think that was really cool to be behind that, but I don't take that as a point of pride. It's just the fact of that made me in myself, that made me realize sometimes you can be in big situations, but not notice it because you're trying to be so, what's the word I'm looking for? I'm looking for a word that just means level-headed. It's so easy to get caught in the noise that you forget about, how you should think about something or what people think about
that's the
situation.
And that's the thing. Me, you kind of had a brief conversation about it before. Social media only enhances these things. Because we got firsthand experience from somebody who was behind the scenes with the team, and how he felt about the situation. And then we get what social media give us, what the media reports to us. Yeah. We spin it in our own way. Like the media don't give you the full story. No. They give you the headline. Yeah. And then people ran with it.
I think they have to, though. I hate to say that, but I think they have to. And this is a really interesting spin-off conversation off that, because we're having that conversation.
But it's a part of their job to grab attention, and to dive people. And it's a part of my job right now as a podcast host to come up with a title that grab people's attention. So I get that aspect of it, but I'm just saying, so the media only enhances it. It could be good or bad. Yeah, is what I'm saying.
Exactly.
Social media has done good, it has done bad.
Most of the time, unfortunately, it's bad.
Yeah, no, for a fact.
Because
that's what they get the biggest hits off of.
Yeah, because I think negative things create more impressions.
It intrigues people.
It's got to be a stat. I don't know.
It intrigues. Somebody got to have that calculated. We'll have to fact check that.
Yeah, it's got to be a stat. I don't know.
But moving on from the NFL, let's kind of talk about. You mentioned starting a business to me. Tell me what that business was, and how did you, and when did you stop pursuing that business?
Yeah. So I probably, if I could expand more into how I got to that.
No, go ahead.
So after my pursuits within the NFL. And as a collegiate student, I wanted to pursue still being an athletic trainer. I kind of preface that because I'm not currently a practicing athletic trainer. I still have an athletic training license, but I wanted to get my master's degree. So one of the best ways to do both, working as a collegiate athletic trainer or just an athletic trainer in general, working in football, is what I really, really wanted to do. Was be a graduate assistant within a sports medicine staff somewhere in the United States, and I happened to find and get connected with the University of Memphis, and they they brought me in as a graduate assistant athletic trainer, and I got my degree in sports commerce while working with Memphis football. Head coach there was Mike Norvell when I was there, and a shout out to Daryl, Larry, Phil. Jared, I don't know. You're probably not going to see this, but who knows? But those are all my friends and fellow colleagues at Memphis, and they really kind of had an impact on me, and I think so did Memphis football, because it was a very, very tough role, but that's what really kind of got me into pursuing more into the realm of professional level or collegiate level athletic training in football. Got a master's degree out of that. Had a great experience. Went to a couple bowl games. Was close a couple times to get to a championship game. And I think my first year we were there, we were one win off. If we would have beat UCF, we would have gone to the Peach Bowl. Like, no cap, like that would have been huge. It would have been sweet. And we lost both bowl games. And my first year, we actually played Iowa State and in the bowl game, the Liberty Bowl. Yeah, so they came down to Memphis. We played them. But anyway, I'm kind of getting on a tangent there. But Memphis athletics was obviously a big part of my last 5 years of life. So I have to include them and the impact they had on me and all my colleagues and all my friends and people there. So after the conclusion of that, I graduated 2019 with a master's degree. And I didn't really have a next direction. And I think part of it was just me not feeling, confident one way or the other which to go. I really felt drawn towards that creative side of me, right? So I thought, okay, how can I combine creativeness? How can I combine, my expertise, or I would say at least knowledge within sports medicine? And I also had a business bug. I think some people get that business bug. They want to create something. They want it. It's hard, and I think it's something I wanted to pursue. So I actually pursued opening a franchise, and it was a health and wellness franchise. Without getting too far into that, a lot of development happened with that. Bought into the franchise, loved it. Thought it was going to be really good to bring back here to Des Moines, a physical location, health and wellness. It was assisted stretching. Really great franchise. It's called Stretch Lab.
Like yoga and stuff, or just
it's like one-on-one, hands-on stretching. Yeah. Okay. So like imagine an athletic trainer or someone helping you, move you through dynamic movements.
Love when my trainer stretched me before the games. I felt so much ready to go.
Yeah. It was a really, really next step thing for me to do. Then I eventually moved into moved into this current time. I mean, that was about end of last year, going into this year. I was going to open a location this year.
And the pandemic kind of got in the way.
Threw me off. And I think there was so much uncertainty that, the only direction for me to go was to not move forward, unfortunately. And I could have. There was just a lot of risk. And I think that was a little too much to stomach during the uncertainty of that time. And it was a very heightened time at that point.
So in the situation where you fell short of something that you started, how did you react to those times? I just kind of want to give people to see a person who's comfortable with failing and bouncing back. So can you give a little spiel on that?
I think I've experienced that for sure. You can't be afraid to fail. I think that comes back to the reason why I have a wristband on.
Constant.
I think there's times where you run into options in your life, and one relates to failure and one relates to success or one relates to uncertainty. And I think for me, if I would have gone back and made a decision, I probably would have made most decisions I have in my life based upon just not being afraid. And that can go one way or the other. Not being afraid doesn't mean just do everything, just go in balls to the wall, just do everything without questioning. I think it takes a level of consideration, but not being afraid within those decisions you make.
I love the way
and
you tied that back to the best advice someone's ever given.
Well, it's funny because that's the first thing I thought. It's the first thing I thought about because it is something that I think about, and it's something that I've obviously struggled with the last couple months and year, like probably some other people have, with just the uncertainty and the emotional happenings this year could bring up. I'm sure some people have been very blessed during this time, and I think I'm one of those people. But I mean, there's people that are in way worse situations. So I think for me, it's all about making the best decision I can with the information I have, and going forward. Don't be afraid of that situation, whether it's something that it's doing something or not doing something. You cannot be afraid of that. And I think that would be the thing nugget wise I would give.
Yes, and when you're dealing with something, and when you're doing something that you're truly passionate about, or whatever you're doing, you got to be able to fall flat on your face and get right back up. It's just like your first time riding a bike. Falling flat without the training wheels. Fall flat on your face and get right back up. So now let's jump into what you're doing now. And before we talk about that, I just want to say I think what you're doing, and I explained this to you, is super innovative. This stuff gets me excited to see people trying to make changes in the world in different ways that they feel like can be extremely helpful to people. So this is what got me excited to get you on here. Love your story. No disrespect to your story. I love you opening up to me and being honest on the lines. But can you give us a quick overview of how you pronounce it? I don't want to miss.
It's Progenitive Labs.
Progenitive Labs. Yeah. Give us an overview of that. And I know you can't spill as much as you want, so don't. I don't want you to.
I'm not hiding anything. Let's just put it that way.
For sure. Yeah.
I think with it could go a direction where it's just like I don't know, what information is necessary and what's not.
And that's
probably the best way to do it.
Just give us a quick overview, bro.
So getting into this opportunity, I wanted to get into medical sales in some way, shape, or form. That was my next step. Again, not being afraid to do different things. I think my journey the last 5 years has gone to being a clinician, to go into business, to go into sales. Like it's just all over the place. So for me, I got connected with a company called Progenitive Labs. It's a biotechnology company based out of Pensacola, Florida. And they are a producer and manufacturer of human tissue products. So it's crazy, but our company takes donated umbilical cord from full-term C-sectional live births in the United States. We take those to our lab, our high quality, I can name off all the standards and where it comes to, but what's most important, it's top of the line. And it's a newer company, but we one of our main flagship products that we process and produce is something called it's a Wharton's jelly tissue allograft product. Do you know what Wharton's jelly is?
No, break it down for us.
So on the umbilical cord, obviously we have belly button. We know where the umbilical cord attaches to.
My grandma didn't cut mine, so I'm good. I mean, short enough.
Everyone's different, and
judge me.
I'm not gonna judge you. So the size can differ depending on the cord. So it can be as small as a pinky, but there's some that are big as thumbs. I mean, we take those donated umbilical cord tissue allografts. Obviously, top of the line, people wearing the full garb, you're in a COVID. Like a COVID. That's what COVID when you see the lab, it's like, man, this is a high level stuff. And that tissue is processed in our facility. We dissect this. Wharton's jelly is like a connective tissue within the umbilical cord tissue. And I know this is totally. I'll get to it in a little bit.
It should be.
I'll get to the reason why I'm talking about umbilical cords.
Good.
It's weird at first when I first got into it, but there's a lining around it, which is like a connective tissue, a covering barrier that covers the veins of the umbilical cord. It sends obviously nutrients to the baby. There's connective tissue in there called Wharton's jelly. It was discovered by a doctor back in 1600 something. Guy's last name is Wharton.
Long time ago.
Yeah, so it's just an anatomical term. But that connective tissue, we take that out, we dissect it down and put it into a flowable form. We can put it in a vial. what we do is it's pretty much utilized for a connective tissue supplement.
So and joints and stuff like that.
Yeah, we have physicians that utilize it for multiple different types of applications. I mean, we work with pain management physicians. We work with orthopedists. We work with plastic surgeon. I mean, I can go on a list.
I think I might need some of that. No, seriously, bro.
It's an interesting thing we're doing. It's definitely, a lot of people don't really know that can be done. In terms of tissue production and tissue processing, obviously there's a lot of stringent guidelines that go along with that, especially with the FDA.
FDA, you got to get a lot clear.
Right. So we produced and processed tissue within those guidelines, and we're pretty stoked about the future of regenerative medicine. I mean, there's documented cases of the uses of a umbilical cord tissue product within cases that are geared for regenerative medicine.
So, just a ramble of questions. How is this different from holistic stuff? In your words.
In my words, I don't. I probably can't really get too much into that, but I think where it's not really, it differs. It adds to it. It's an additive. It's a different approach.
Okay.
And I think there's a lot of documented cases utilizing different forms of regenerative medicine.
Yeah.
And absolutely. I think this is one way to achieve that. But in my terms, I mean, something as innovative of the applications we're doing. You could always pull the video too. This is what I was thinking about. I was talking about Wharton's jelly.
We'll pop the video.
Yeah.
Up. Well, we gonna pop the video. On this podcast.
We'll do.
You got me? That's my dog.
You could put it in there, but it's a video of like if there's a knot in an umbilical cord, it actually doesn't. It's scientific, but the cord doesn't get constrained. It's like this jelly is like really, really good structural tissue stuff. But back to your question, I think what's more the fact doesn't really change the scope. It really adds to it and gives physicians another option.
So y'all hoops and hurdles with the FDA haven't been that tough because, like I know with holistic, FDA.
I wouldn't say it's something that we probably should get into right now.
For sure.
But I think what's most important is the fact that our company is trying to produce a high level tissue product, and along with clinical research that we're trying to do, and it's really, really exciting what we're doing. So I'm a business development representative with them. I probably should have started out with that.
Yeah.
I'm not a scientist with them. I'm not producing anything. I'm not, the science, I understand it. And I think it's more of the fact of my role is to be a rep. I mean, you can call it a sales rep, but is to find prospective physicians that would utilize our tissue products.
So you explained and talking with you said your team was very close, tight knit, working at this lab. How long have you guys been starting this? How long has this company's been going?
It's been around since 2017.
Dope. Still early.
Yeah, still early. I think we have a lot of bright minds within the team, and it's pretty small. But we're most of us are remote too. But because we're obviously selling across the entire country, and I'm obviously here in the Midwest. So it's I would say close knit wise, it's definitely hard when you're remote. But I think given that circumstance, we're very excited to be producing high level tissue products.
That's dope, bro. Yeah. Last one, man. I feel like you've been in interesting spots in your whole life. The Colin Kaepernick situation and all that, man. How does it feel to be working hands-on with something that's super innovative during the pandemic? Like, obviously, they started before the pandemic, but y'all are really still at it. So how does that feel?
Yeah. It's tough. Put it that way. I think there's so much uncertainty within the healthcare marketplace as what is going to happen next. And I think with this innovation, and like you said, I mean, it's innovation. I mean, that's what gets me excited is the fact that I'm on the forefront of something that's really exciting for the field of medicine. And there's lots of anecdotal evidence, meaning evidence that is is said, really not documented. There's a lot more documented evidence and clinical studies coming out there on kind of the, revolving around what we're doing.
Mm-hmm.
So, like I said, I don't know, this audience doesn't really want to know more about the science of it, but I think what's more important is, like we're talking about, is the field of regenerative medicine has been here, but will continue to expand in its certain aspects. And I'm not trying to say one portion of regenerative medicine is better than the other. Absolutely. But I think what's most important is the fact of being a part of a new frontier of medicine, which is really exciting.
Yeah, that's dope. Like innovative stuff, it gets me going. Like it gets me excited, bro. And I love what y'all doing. I was reading up on the website. I got big time sponsor. Roy Jones Jr. Roy Jones Jr. is the big sponsor.
I know you guys watched the fight.
And he just had a big fight, ended in a draw. That's dope, man. I think you guys are doing the absolute correct things, bro. And like keep doing what you're doing, like honestly, and I'll stay in touch. And when you can come back and give updates, we'll have you back on to give updates.
I'd love to if you'd allow me to be on.
Sure, bro. Absolutely.
I don't know if people like listening to me right now. I mean, they probably love listening to you.
So. No. This is your show, bro. This that's my thing. On the minds we make it about the guests, but appreciate you for coming on, brother. Nice meeting you. We'll be in touch a lot now. I'm here. I'm sure pretty often, but that wraps up episode 12 of the Minds with Hakeem podcast. Make sure you guys continue to come back, hit that like button and that subscribe button below. It's love, y'all.
Yes, sir.
Peace.
Yes, sir.